Here's Tom Scully, and it's solo all by myself today. So that's just something about my ability to attract people. But anyway, so what did I do? I read the Wall Street Journal. You see, that's what I do. What I do is I take all my material from the Wall Street Journal, and so what does that do? That has a tendency for people to stop reading the Wall Street Journal. But that's another story. Anyway, so what was the things that I saw today? Well, one of the things I saw, I guess, was the thing on the front page was Cuba. You know, Cuba is now in the dark. In the dark. They have no lights on. So they've got uh, bonfires burning, and they've got they're reading by the lights of their iPhones. And they still got the 1957 Chevrolets driving around the place, being held together by baling wire. And so that's what we've got going with Cuba today. And of course, I guess they could blame some of that stuff on the oil uh, uh, blockage, but the fact of the matter is that I think that as far back as say 50 years ago, 60 years ago, Cuba was a very prosperous country. It was the Las Vegas of the Caribbean, and people would go there, go there for a week or so, and they party hardy, and do a lot of gambling, and then go back to the mainland. And so Cuba was very corrupt, capitalistic, and very prosperous, you see. But of course, there were those people that had less. One of these guys was a guy by the name of Castro. So he went in there and changed things around. And so from being a very prosperous, corrupt country, it became a very poor, corrupt country, don't you see? And so that's how we settled that one. And so now they're on the verge of collapse. They have basically nothing going for them. And so that is a very good argument against the communism and socialism. It shows you where you end up at the end of the day. It took a while for it to happen, because, like I say, it was a very prosperous country. And it took a while before they finally got it to the point that there was nothing left. The only thing left is probably Castro. Castro, I think it's Raul Castro. And Raul, he has a couple bucks, but he's good possibility he's going to be indicted. But I don't know what good indictment for that guy does because he's 94 years of age. So, you got to catch him before he gets out the door. Well, anyway, so that's what we got with Cuba. So, what else do we got? We got the big trial going on. I don't know if anybody's heard about the trial, but the trial's in Oakland, California, and it's this guy by the name of Musk. And anyway, hold on a second, I'm going to get something. And they show this. They show on the page on Wall Street Journal. They show all these folks that are in the in this courtroom drama. And one of them is the guy named Brockman, and he's one of the guys that set up AI. And then there's another guy by the name of Sam Altman, and there's Satya Nadella. And it's very interesting if you look into it, because what happened with the trial is Musk is saying that he was faked out by this guy Altman. Altman had this idea he was going to set up this non-for-profit, don't you see? And that non-for-profit needed to be funded, and so Musk funded it. Well, as time went on, the non-for-profit became very profitable, and this guy Altman, what he did is he has a lot of these other companies that are doing business with the AI. And so as a result, he's become very, very rich. And Musk figured that he was being he was being taken advantage of. He said he was a fool to get involved with the thing. So that's what we got with Musk, and very interesting characters there. One of the interesting characters is I think it's now I'm going to get this wrong, but Musk has one of the women that's involved is the mother to a couple of Musk's children. I think he's had 3 or 4 in vitro fertilization, and I think her name is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Siobhan Gillis. I think that's it. Anyway, that's what's going on there. So uh, it's a high stake courtroom drama going on, because what's going to happen eventually is either Musk is going to end up on the victorious side, or Altman is going to go off with a lot of money in his pocket. Either way, I don't think either one of them is hurting for money. And so it's kind of an interesting courtroom drama that's playing behind the scenes. And you've got all these folks, one smarter than the other, but they're all MIT graduates, and just started out from very little, started out in the garage or what have you, and ended up being multi-billionaires probably. But so that's what we got going on with that. Then let's see what else we got. We got Mr. Mandami. Mr. Mandami. I like bashing Mandami because he's a anyway, he is the guy who's taking New York down the toilet, and so his latest foray in was getting in front of this penthouse, which is owned by a guy by the name of Ken Griffin. And most people know that Ken Griffin is the head of Citadel, which is one of the largest hedge fund companies in the world. And so he has been taking stuff out of New York and taking it down to Florida, because Florida is more favorable to businesses. And of course, Mandami, he stood in front of Griffith's place, and he was kind of mocking Griffith, saying he's a billionaire, and can't have billionaires hanging around. So he forgot to mention the fact that this billionaire also employed a lot of people in New York. He forgot to mention that. But so as a result, he stood in front of this penthouse and had this put this thing on the internet, and as a result, there was a big backlash that went out, and there's a good chance that Griffith's going to take even more stuff down to Florida as a result. And now Mandami is asking Griffith, "Oh, it's a terrible misunderstanding, don't you see? And so you come back and talk to me, and we'll work something out." But Mr. Griffin doesn't seem to be too interested in doing anything like that. So that's a story of biting the hand that feeds you, and so that's what Mr. Mandami is doing. And of course, there's no free buses, none of these fancy free supermarkets for the people, none of that stuff. The only thing we do have is prices going up, and budgets going to excessive amounts, but that's Mr. Mandami. So that's what we got with that. There's something on the internet right now, a guy like myself, you see, getting confused every so often, and being a little bit up in years, looking at this stuff on the internet. And there's this thing going around. You'll see Bill Gates on the internet. You'll see a number of people, that some of these older actors. I think there was Harrison Ford another time, and trying to think of the other guy. Anyway, they're on the internet, and they're saying that they were having terrible problems with the memory, and they were forgetting things, and the mental faculties were slowing up. They were getting much slower as they got older. and they were afraid that they were getting dementia. They were afraid that they were going to get some Alzheimer's. But they came up with this miracle cure. You see, they were on this show. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel came up with this miracle cure, and it had to do with honey, and you get this honey, and you mix it in with cinnamon, maybe, or you mix it in with some cocoa or what have you, and as a result, you see, it reversed this aging process of the brain. And you had these plaques that were building up in the brain, and they've done all this tremendous research on it, and they found out that as a result, that it started cleansing all this plaque out of the brain. And it was wonderful because these people that were declining in their mental faculties, they come back and they were back to where they were 20 years ago. It's just wonderful. There's only one problem with that. You see, it was all AI. You see, all AI. There was no Bill Gates hawking this stuff. There was no Harrison Ford. There was no Jimmy Kimmel on the Late Show. Nobody was hawking this stuff. What they did is they AI'd this. I guess the clue came at the end. At the end of this presentation, which took about 10, 15 minutes, you had Bill Gates there suggesting that you send in money for this product, which was, I think, about $100. Don't you see? So I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't ring true. Bill Gates trying to hawk some vitamin kind of crap for $100. I mean, a multi-billionaire usually doesn't do that type of thing. So a little further research revealed that this thing was all AI. But it's pretty scary in a way. It's very scary in a way because you have you have these folks, and they look real. They look real. They are real, and for some reason they're able to manipulate the way they talk, and they are bringing across this message. And so, we've probably got thousands of people right now who are sending in their $100, you see, and thinking this thing is going to work. And of course, it doesn't work at all. But you're sending a lot of money, and as a result, people are being manipulated. When it first started out, you'd have these cute little videos where you'd have the dog or you'd have one of these animals talking. And that seemed kind of, it was humorous. But that's changed quite a bit now when you start having people being manipulated by people that look like they're actually the real thing when they're nothing of the sort. And it's perfected to the extent that you can't really you can't differentiate whether this is the real person or whether it's something that's generated by AI. So bad enough now that they're trying to sell this honey-based product, which is probably worthless. Bad enough that they're doing something like that. But if you think about it a little further, what are the implications to that? Are you going to have world leaders coming down with something which is very provocative? And unable to tell whether it's really that person saying that or whether it's AI generated. So this is something that, at least for somebody like myself, is very concerning. So how it's going to be dealt with in the future, I don't know, but it's just something that I've just recently become aware of. So I thought that it would be worthwhile to bring that to your attention. Let me see what else you got. There's another thing that I was looking at in the Wall Street Journal. Talked about businesses which are leaving the cities that basically at one time were the places where all the big corporations were, particularly New York. And they're fleeing not only to Florida and fleeing to Texas in tremendous numbers. People like Tesla is one of the groups that's left to uh, to Texas, and there's just a group of them that have left within the last year or so. Starbucks. This is you'll have problems today getting your Starbucks. You know, Starbucks, which everybody's been going to for the last 20, 30 years, paying 3 times as much as necessary to get themselves a cup of coffee, but that's what they've been doing. I know Mr. Schultz, he won't like to hear that, but that's probably the case. So right now, they've indicated that they're starting to lay people off because they're having a turn down, pretty significant turn down. And so that's what's happening with Starbucks. I think they're right now, they say 300 U.S. workers are closing and several regional corporate offices are closing because they're starting to lose money. So that's what's happening with Starbucks. And so you'll have to find another place for your latte. You might even have to go to Dunkin', but that'd be a step down for you, I'm sure. Now, and here's another one that's, this is also very, very concerning. This is something that's happening in Japan. There is this drug, and the drug was called Tavneos. Tavneos. And that was supposed to be one of these new drugs on the market. And as a result, 22 people have already died as a result of this drug being put on the market. I think what it does is it pretty much kills the liver. And there's a whole bunch of other people right now, I think as many as 80, that have had the liver very severely affected. So it's a good possibility that they're not going to make it either. So that's a real problem right now. And so, you know, sometimes people say that they're a little bit too slow in approving these medications, but now again, you're going to have people being sued because they were too fast in approving the medication. So as a result, we have people dying because the medication was not thoroughly vetted. Let's see, another one is is, you know, there's a AI, but there's there's this guy. This is very this really kind of surprised me. But there's, you know, AI. There's a bunch of these AI groups coming up right now. But this guy, Anthropic, this guy and his sister, I guess, can't remember what his name is. Anyway, the two of them. He used to be the vice president of, I guess, AI, Chat AI, whatever. And he opened up Anthropic a little bit ago, and now they're raising more than $30 billion on a $900 billion valuation. The guy, you know, the guy comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's got this $1 billion project going on. Let's see. Here's another one. Speaking about Texas and speaking about people going down to Texas, Toyota is considering investing another $2 billion to add an assembly plant nearby its manufacturing facility in San Antonio. So, you know, I don't get the idea with a lot of these blue states that they're making wise decisions in chasing these large corporations out, because these are the people. These are the people that fund that fund the governments there. From my understanding is that the top 10% of earners in the country, they provide more than 50% of the tax revenue that comes in. And I believe that the bottom 30 or 40% provide virtually no money. So, you know, to chase these people out of the country, out of the various cities, doesn't seem to be making a lot of sense to me. So that I don't get. But there are a lot of things I don't get. So now let's see, is there anything else that's I should be thinking about? Well, think the last thing on my mind is Trump. Trump, of course, went to China, and there's a question there with what's going to happen with that. Uh, it seems as Boeing has got a tremendous deal that's coming out of China. They're going to order a bunch of new Boeing jets, I suppose. But there's also some troubling aspects because she has indicated something to the effect that Taiwan is in the crosshairs again. And that, of course, is an ally of ours. Taiwan has been an ally of ours forever. And Taiwan is the largest chip producer in the world. So that's the reason why, in many respects, besides it being part of the original part of China, it's also another good reason why China is looking to take over Taiwan. Of course, China took over Tokyo, and they took over Hong Kong. And when they took over Hong Kong, I don't think that was a real good move for as far as Hong Kong is concerned. The ability to speak your mind has changed considerably there. People are being put in jail for saying what they think, and so Hong Kong has probably devolved down to being something less than it was at one time. And I can't imagine that anything better is going to happen with Taiwan if the Chinese get to it. So, of course, the United States has not said anything about whether or not they would defend Taiwan, but I have to imagine that they'd have to defend Taiwan. And I think that if they didn't, particularly people are comparing what happened in Afghanistan, the way in which we left Afghanistan in a hurry, leaving a lot of people behind. That did not bode too well for the image of the United States. So I think we'd be very, very slow to do anything to hurt our relationship with Taiwan. But, Trump has done a lot of things. You may not agree with them, but he's done a lot of things. And one of the things he did was go to China. And so we seem to be having a better rapport with China right now. But it's not without its dangers. But I think the danger's always been there. So the mere fact that the danger's been more apparent may be a good thing and not a bad thing. So, the world is a dangerous place. And so that's that. So I think we've covered most everything. Let me see. Is there anything else? Oh, yeah, there's one last thing I think I should mention. Here is the Southern Poverty Law Center. You're aware of the Southern Poverty Law Center, usually referred to as SPLC. And that law center has always kind of supposedly fought for against racism and that type of thing. But they've come under fire, I guess. And there is a political aspect to this. During Trump's first administration, they were under the gun. They were under the gun because of some supposed hanky-panky which is going on there. And but then Biden came into office, don't you see? And so that those things were kind of ignored. Whether or not they were worth investigating or not, they weren't investigated. And now, of course, Trump has come back into office, and so they're being investigated again. So there's something to be said there, but how serious it is another case, something to be looked at. But it looks as though there may be some indictments coming down as far as this outfit. And the problem with that is that they've already the guy that started it was a guy by the name of Dees, Dees, and he was an attorney. And this was back 50 some years ago. The guy's 95 years old now, and he started it. And I guess a couple of years ago they threw him out. So they threw out the founder of it. So there's evidently something there. But how significant that is, we don't know. But there is an indictment coming down, I would think. And so we'll see how that plays out. Now, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Nothing else to talk about. Mr. Pierogi's here taking notes, and think he's got it figured out.
We got to follow our social media.
All the social media, yes, we're on TikTok, are we? We're on
Facebook,
Google, YouTube,
Spotify, Apple.
We're on those things too. And I guess that's it for today. Probably here for tomorrow as well. All right. So with that, I'll say goodbye.